All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rechahudash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, the bishops, the great millstone. Salutations to all Akim out there pushing His truth and all truth and sincerity diligently throughout the four corners. All right. I'm the brother Shamar Moth from Great Millstone, Miami. Also from the camp of Great Millstone, Southwest Florida, out here in the Fort Myers area. Coming to your Akim or Akwath with another quick lesson. And Lord's will, this lesson be quick, edifying, and straight to the point. All right, and serves as a reproof, rebuke, and correction, man. Okay, I'm not too sure what I'm gonna title this lesson just yet, but this lesson is going to lean on the topic of not holding a grudge, okay, amongst one another. All right, because in doing so, you could be actually uh, be moving, all right, in the flesh, all right. You could be actually activating one of the works of the flesh, and that's not what we want to do. The scriptures clearly tell us to walk in the spirit, so that way we don't fulfill the lust of the flesh, man. Okay, so I kind of want to talk about that and touch on that real quick and close out. So the first thing I want to do is let's go to Leviticus 19, all right, because all the way in the beginning in the law, all right, the Lord tells us this, all right. Matter of fact, we'll start up Leviticus 19, and we'll start at 17. It says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart." All right, and that's pretty much plain. Matter of fact, we'll get a GNT version open up real quick so we can compare. All right, let's go Bibles. Switch this GNT. Switch this. Let's go Leviticus. What was 19 and 16? Let's increase this real quick. All right. Let's put this Salaki brothers. Let's put that there. Let's put this here. All right. Boom. Okay. So we had 18. All right. Oh no, we started at 17. We read 17. All right. Oh, see, in GNT it makes it even more plain. All right. Leviticus 19 and 17, it says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him." Okay. In the GNT it reads, "Do not bear a grudge against others, but settle your differences with them, so that you will not commit a sin because of them." All right. So right then and there in the law, it tells us that we're not supposed to bear a grudge, hold a grudge against each other. All right. So what is a grudge? All right. For those that don't know, it's okay to look things up. Let's look up what a grudge is. Okay. A grudge is to murmur or complain. All right. To begrudge, envy, wish to deprive of. All right. Let's get it in Google. Let's just get it in Google real quick. A grudge is a lingering, deep-seated feeling of anger, bitterness, or resentment towards someone for a previous wrong. Okay, that wrong could be intentional or unintentional. It could have been the individual, okay, hurt you, all right, and you're carrying this bitterness in your heart because of how the situation went. The Lord commands us not to do that. The Lord orders us not to do that, all right? But we're supposed to settle our differences. So the moment you realize that a wrong that was done towards you, you have it in your heart where there's this anger boiling within you, you're supposed to take that individual aside and speak to that person, man. All right? All right, you're not supposed to let that fester because, again, we're going to get into, and I'm gonna show through the spirit power Yabashim Shai using Chat GPT as well. All right, that could breed to, uh, you know, proven to activate one of the works of the flesh, man. All right, verse 18, it says, uh, uh, yep, it says, "Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord Yahweh. Do not take revenge on others or continue to hate them, but love your neighbors as you love yourselves. I am the Lord Yahweh." All right, and that's in the law, man. Okay, the scriptures clearly, plainly tells us not to hold any grudge. All right, because if you do in fact hold the grudge, remember, as the scriptures say in James 5, that the judge standeth at the door, man. Okay, and you don't want that. Here it is, you fighting for salvation, you fighting for a crown. All right, you fighting to get beamed up into a chariot, and because of something that, because of some hurt you have in your heart that another brother did. Maybe the brother stepped on your toe, maybe the brother spoke to you a certain way, maybe the brother exposed a particular secret of yours. All right, that or a particular conversation. It may not even be a secret. It could just be a plain conversation that you thought was going to just stay between you and that brother, and now another brother knows, and that has you in the mindset or in the spirit of, man, fuck this brother, man. And now every time you look at him, you have this deep-seated, as it says right here, this deep-seated anger every time you come around this brother, man. This lingering bitterness towards that man. All right, a form of resentment towards that person, man. All right, that is not supposed to be so. Okay, remember, the Lord tells us the world will know that we are of him by the love we have one towards another. All right, and bearing a grudge or hatred or bitterness towards anybody that you claim to be a servant of the Lord, all right, that you claim to be a fellow believer, all right, that's not becoming of what the Messiah said for us to do, man. Okay, this is James 5:9. It says, "Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned." All right, that's plain, man. We're not supposed to grudge against one another, at least we be condemned, man. The Lord will jack your ass up for that, man. I've seen it. Okay, I've seen it, man. I've seen my own cousins, okay, who are in the Miami camp. One of them in particular was the head, all right, and he was bearing a grudge, okay. And mind you, this was the same individual, all right, who would sit there and tell us not to hold grudges, but yet he was holding a grudge. And eventually the spirit got tired of him, and the spirit casted him out, man. Okay, now he's somewhere floating in the abyss waiting for destruction, man. All right, so we got to be mindful of that. Okay, it says, "Do not complain against one another, my friends, so that God will not judge you," right? All right, the judge is near, ready to appear. As it says in the KJV, "Behold, the judge standeth before the door," man. All right, so again, be mindful when it comes to that mindset. All right, now we understand that we're in the flesh, okay, but we're not supposed to be exercising the works of the flesh. No, man, we're supposed to be conquering the flesh and killing the flesh daily, man. Okay, bear with me. I wanted to get something else. I'm trying to look at something real quick. Cross reference. All right. Without, let's see. Yeah, that was the point. All right, now let's go to a Galatian real quick. Galatians 5:16. Like I said, I was not planning on making this lesson long. It was just something that came to mind. I was having a conversation with a particular brother, and yeah, I wanted to put this lesson on wax, man. Okay, for as a warning to us brothers, man, to be mindful of that particular mindset, because that mindset could very well creep in, all right, and try to take hold of you. And now you over here walking around in a bitter mindset towards somebody, all right, and you thinking you justified in how you feel, but whole time the Lord is looking at you like you need to get your shit together before He strikes you, man. All right. This is the book of Galatians 5:16. It says, "This I say then: walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the lust of the for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary one to another, so that ye cannot do the things that you would." Okay, so we're supposed to be walking in the spirit, man. The more you walk in the spirit, the less the flesh is activated. All right, more spirit, less flesh. Okay, verse 18. Because at the end of the day, man, the flesh wants to be the main. The flesh has the main character syndrome, man. All right, our flesh wants to be the main character. All right, but what we have to understand is the flesh is insatiable. There's no pleasing the flesh ultimately, man. The things that you think you're going to please the flesh with, the flesh is just going to require more and more and more, and eventually it's going to lead into wickedness, man. All right, but on the other hand, all right, walking in the spirit, man, you'll be more fulfilled, man. You'll find that joy, that peace, all right, that tranquility that everybody's looking for. You'll find it by just walking in the spirit, man, following the ways of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, man. Okay, so let's continue to do that. All right. So verse 18 it says, "But if ye be led in the spirit of the spirit, ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulation, wrath, strife, sedition, heresies, envying, murders, drunkenness, reveling, and such like, of of the which I tell you, before, as I have also told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God." All right. So we have to be mindful. Now, one may say, "Well, grudge is not on this list," okay? And you will be right. But what we have to understand is a grudge is what? It is a deep rooted, lingering feeling of anger and bitterness, man. Okay? All right? So I went to chat and I asked ChatGPT, can holding a grudge count as the works of the flesh? Yes, holding grudges can fall under the works of the flesh depending on what it produces in the heart and behavior. Spiritual foundation. Paul lists the works of the flesh in Galatians 5:19-21, which we just read, right? Included, all right, hatred, variance, which is strife, emulation, which is jealousy, all right, wrath, sedition, heresy, envyings. While grudge isn't named verbatim, a grudge is the seed that often grows into several of these things, right? So if you end up holding a grudge, you may end up manifesting one of the works of the flesh, man. That's why the scriptures tell us to not even hold a grudge, don't even bear a grudge, okay? It says how grudges align with the flesh. Holding a grudge usually involves unforgivingness, rooted in wrath, resentment, feeds hatred, broiding, all right, over offense, produce strife. Desire for repayment or vindication works against mercy, which what? Mercy is one of the fruits of the spirit. All right. All right. To be joyful. All right. To be long suffering. Okay. That's accounted as one of those fruits of the spirit. That's something that the spirit occupies and works with. Mercy. All right. It says scriptures confirm disconnection. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking, all right, be put away from you in the Ephesians 4 and 31, which we'll get real quick. Okay. Let's get there real quick. Ephesians 4. All right. All right, Ephesians 4 and 31. It says, let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speakings be put away from you with all malice. And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as God for Hamashiach's sake hath forgiven you. So you holding a grudge, man. You're not really acknowledging that Yahweh Shai's sacrifice he made for you, man. You holding this bitterness towards your bro or you sisters out there, you got some shit going on between you and your husband or you and another sister and you want to hold a grudge against them, man. The Lord is looking at you, man. The Lord is looking at you. In the GNT, it says, get rid of all bitterness, passion, and anger. No more shouting or insults. No more hateful feelings of any sort, which is a grudge, man. Instead, be kind and tenderhearted to one another and forgive one another as God has forgiven you through Hamashiach, man. Okay? All right. Going on, it says bitterness is essentially a long-term grudge. All right. Let's get this. Hebrews 12 and 15. I don't know why I'm copying this. Is it gonna go? All right, there you go. Hebrews 12 and 15. All right. Yeah, shoot, I start at 14. I start at 14. It says Hebrews 12 and 14. It says, follow peace with all men and holiness without which no man shall see the Lord. Looking diligently, lest any man fail of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up trouble you, and thereby many be defiled. So a lot of people have been defiled by allowing the root of bitterness to spring up, and they hold on to it instead of casting it out, man. All right, instead of working it out with their particular fellow, they just continue to let that bitterness, that grudge fester. All right. Next thing you know, they get turned out in a evil manner, man. We got to be mindful of that, man. All right. Important distinctions. There is a difference between righteous remembrance and fleshly grudges. Wisdom remembers to avoid repeated harm. All right, and it goes to Proverbs 22 and 3. The flesh remembers in order to rehearse pain, justify anger, and withhold mercy, you see? So if you sitting here in your mind, some shit happened between you and an individual, all right, and you just continuing to rehearse the situation just to feel that pain and get mad again, and you justifying your anger or your actions for cutting the person off, or whatever the case may be, or withholding mercy. Well, at that point you're holding a grudge, man, and that's of the flesh. Okay. The chat says what? Even Yahweh Shai acknowledge wrongdoings without harboring resentment. All right. And then it goes what? Fruit versus flesh contrast. Holding grudges opposes the fruits of the spirit: love, peace, long suffering, gentleness, temperance. Galatians 5:22 through 23. A grudge resists peace and long suffering, which signals the flesh is operating. Bottom line, yes, when a grudge is rooted in bitterness, anger, or refusal to forgive, It is the work of the flesh. Letting go is not excusing wrongdoing. It is refusing to let the flesh rule your heart. All right. So that's what I got from chat. All right. So we got to, again, be mindful of that. All right. All of us, myself included, man. Because again, we are in the flesh, and sometimes, man, you get hurt, you get done wrong. All right. And it feels like in your mind, to justify the wrongdoing, you just gotta hold on to it. That's not so, man. It's not so. Remember, the Lord is standing at the door. The judge is watching, man. So we want to make sure that we're on point, so we don't find ourselves on the wrong side of the Heavenly Father's judgment. All right, because the judgment could go either way. You get judged for something righteous or judged for something wicked, man. The judgment is just a final verdict. Okay. So going back to this Galatians 5, I didn't read it in GNT, but I'll just keep it up. I'll finish it in KJV. It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith. All right? Meekness, temperance, against such there is no law. And they that are Hamashiachs have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Okay? So with that, matter of fact, I'll read the last verse. It says, let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. All right? So that's the point, man. That's the point of this lesson. Hopefully this lesson was edifying to the body. Okay? I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Chakodash, double honors to the apostles, the elders, and the bishops of Great Millstone. Salutations to all Akim out there pushing his truth and all truth and sincerity diligently throughout the four corners. Shalom.